Welcome to the UC Venture Labs Pre-Accelerator Graduation Day for our 9th cohort. During this weird, crazy time, we converted the Venture Labs Pre-Accelerator programming to entire remote. We have worked for 30 minutes each week in the mornings on Tuesdays to do facilitation across the larger team. And then after that facilitation, each team met with an EIR on video to try and get some face-to-face conversation around where they're trying to take their startup. And so what you're going to see today are 10 5-minute presentations. There will be a gap of time in between each presentation with a countdown timer. So if you have to run to the restroom or grab another cup of coffee, whatever you've got to do, there's going to be a little bit of time in between each presentation for you to be able to do that. And most importantly, what we hope you do is use that time to connect with our teams in the chat feature on the website, so that there is still some engagement, right, with what's going on with these teams, what you're interested in, what your background might be, how you might be able to contribute. So, so that'll be the format of today. And once this is over, each presentation will have some contact info if you'd like to follow up. And again, I'd like you to just sit back, relax, and enjoy the graduation presentations of our teams in this 10th cohort. Thank you again for tuning in.
Hello, I'm Dr. Vladimir Bogdanov.
And I'm Dr. Clayton Lewis, and we'd like to share with you how we're thinking differently about pancreatic cancer.
Let's stop treating pancreatic cancer and start curing it. Pancreatic cancer is an extremely devastating disease. Even though it accounts for only 3% of all cancer cases, it's still the third most common cause of cancer death. This year, 57,000 people are going to be given the news that they have it. And unfortunately, 5 years from now, only 9% of those people will still be living. One of the main reasons for this high mortality rate is the lack of an effective treatment for the disease. I'd like you to meet Bill Williamson. Bill's an actual pancreatic cancer patient who was recently diagnosed with stage 4 disease, so surgery isn't an option for him. He and his doctor must choose between one of 2 chemotherapy regimens, both of which are quite toxic and not very effective. The biologics currently on the market, or even those in clinical trials, are completely ineffective at treating pancreatic cancer. This is something that weighs heavily on Bill's doctor too. You see, she has many patients like Bill and routinely has to give them the same poor options. She all too often finds herself only being able to treat their symptoms instead of giving her patients something that could actually cure them. Imagine the difference it would make if she could give Bill an antibody that would stop his tumor from growing and spreading, allowing him to live a much longer life with a low chance of any toxic side effects. That's exactly what Dr. Bogdanov and I have spent the last 5 years working on. The result of this has been the development of the biologic RADMAB1, the first-in-class monoclonal antibody that targets a protein called alternatively spliced tissue factor, or ASTF for short. ASTF is overexpressed in pancreatic cancer, and the cancer cells use it to hold open a particular type of cell surface receptor that the cell uses to fuel its own growth and spread all over the body. Our antibody, illustrated here in black, blocks ASTF from binding to that receptor, and our preclinical testing has shown it's effective at stemming the growth and spread of the disease. RADMAB1 has quite a variety of future market opportunities. The pancreatic cancer market is growing at the rate of about $80 million a year, and it will reach $1.28 billion by 2025. A lot of this money comes from treating patients who, unlike Bill, are able to undergo surgical resection. But even for them, the cancer will eventually recur, and that's one of the areas where RADMAB1 is most likely to help, by preventing the tumor from growing after surgery. The market for monoclonal antibodies is also experiencing rapid growth, and it's expected to be over $168 billion by 2022. And there's a high probability that RADMAB1 will also impact the breast cancer market. While it hasn't been the focus of this presentation, a lot of our initial studies also focused on breast cancer, where we saw RADMAB1 stem its growth and spread. RADMAB1 was granted a patent in 2017, so its intellectual property rights are protected until at least 2037. We've already completed many of the key preclinical studies necessary for moving forward with this drug, where we saw very positive results. But if we're able to expand these with additional preclinical studies, we're likely to greatly increase RADMAB1's value and ultimately proceed with clinical trials, which will allow patients like Bill Williamson to live longer lives with fewer side effects. We envision a series of studies over the next 2 years that will allow us to amplify the value of RADMAB1. In the first year of these studies, we'll test the efficacy of RADMAB1 against additional human pancreatic cancer cell lines in vivo. And soon after, we'll be able to compare the efficacy of RADMAB1 to the drug regimens currently being used to treat pancreatic cancer. And we'll conclude our studies by looking to see if combining RADMAB1 with these standard of care treatments is able to either reduce toxicity or perhaps even lead to synergistic effects. Our team right now consists of Dr. Bogdanov and myself. Dr. Bogdanov is an associate professor at UC. He's the discoverer of ASTF and also the inventor of RADMAB1. I'm a postdoctoral fellow at UC, and I've been performing pancreatic cancer research for over 10 years. Our ask is a flexible one, in the sense that we aren't invested in one particular avenue. The two most attractive options for us are teaming up with individuals or a startup company who are either able to help us form our own startup company or are interested in collaborating to write SBIR or STTR grants to provide their lab and ours with funding and sponsored research agreements. We'd also be interested in licensing our technology to pharmaceutical companies. With your help, we can change the landscape of pancreatic cancer and shift our fight from a treatment to a cure. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, we'd be more than happy to answer them now, or if you'd prefer, we can also answer them via email. Thank you.
Hey guys, my name is Ramon Singh. I'm a sophomore from Xavier University, originally from Sydney, Australia. Welcome to my presentation. Hi guys, thank you for tuning in and watching. It is my pleasure to introduce you to SAP, the Student Athlete Portal. In February of 2019, a regular student athlete got injured. Who cares, right? Try the whole sneaker industry. Now this regular student athlete was Zion Williamson, who had busted his Nike shoe open, and as a result, created $2 billion loss of market value for Nike, as well as a 1% drop in the stock market for the Nike share. Now, if you guys don't know what the NCAA is, I really envy you and I wish I was in your position. Unfortunately for me, I know far too much about the NCAA and all their rules and regulations. In the past, this meant that all student athletes were unable to make any form of money because of the sport that they played. However, recently, the NCAA has established a working group to solve the upcoming problem of how athletes can get paid based off their own image. This opens the opportunity for a new marketplace that isn't in representation today. There are guidelines that are expected to take place in 2021, allowing student athletes to use their own brand image for profit's sake, thus essentially unleashing a $14 billion industry to the world. To give you some perspective, here are two college athletes. They both play basketball. One has broken multiple NCAA records. The other is just broke. Today, these college athletes have the same market value of $0. But in January of 2021, when the guidelines take into effect, the market and the naming rights to these athletes is going to be greater than $0. The challenge will be to determine what each athlete is worth. Personally, I feel like the guy on the right is worth more than the guy on the left. However, I'm still collecting data to help establish my point. If anyone could help me with that, that would be greatly appreciated. All jokes aside, here is a real business value example using myself as a subject. I am an international student athlete who plays basketball at a high major program which is exposed to high-end TV audiences. However, I do not play as much as minutes as a typical average player does. Therefore, I would not have as high as a market value as some of my other teammates. Thus, I would be ideal for a smaller business like Stone's Lanes, which is right outside of Xavier's campus, as well as Cincinnati medical business TriHealth, which could partner with Xavier Athletics in conjunction with Xavier Basketball and use my image to help promote their business. I would also really appreciate a plug from Outback Steakhouse, as I feel I am probably the most knowledgeable person on the Australian cuisine in Cincinnati. Therefore, I believe it would be ideal to have a life-size cutout of me placed in every single store, just to help verify their company's brand image. What we plan on doing is building a technology-centric agency to address the gap in the new NCAA players' image marketplace. Founded by me, Ramon Singh, a business-motivated walk-on with a visible high major basketball program, in conjunction with support from my close friend Jeff Patterson, a former Division I swimmer in 1819 EIR. For the top 2% of athletes, marketing their name, image, and likeness will be similar to any other mainstream celebrity or athlete. But what about the 98% of college athletes that have never had the ability to be compensated or leverage themselves commercially? We're here to unlock the difference in value, from the top tier quarterbacks and starting point guards to the Division II cross-country runners and Division III swimmers, as well as everything else in between. Our platform will address some key challenges faced by our market, mainly through getting through the NCAA's compliance rules and developing a portal for student athletes to interact with business. I cannot stress enough that this is a time-sensitive opportunity. We need to establish the company and build the portal framework. Our aim is to be ready when the guidelines are released, thus being able to secure the rights to athletes and establish marketplace visibility as soon as we can. What we will need is a technology design partner as well as legal resources to sort out our business's main framework. Thank you very much for your time. I hope to hear from some of you very soon.
Hi, I'm Tianyu Zhang, a graduate student from UC. I'm working on reducing carbon emission to create a better environment.
Today, I'm going to invite you to the solution of huge amount of CO2 emission. Currently, the CO2 emission has reached 35 billion tons every year. That results in a bunch of environmental damages, like melting of polar ice, increasing of global temperature, and the rising of sea level. However, to capture that amount of CO2, the estimated cost is around 7 trillion. That's too expensive. So, compared to just capture it without any profit, what if we convert it into more valuable products to make the process sustainable? That's our project, a cost-effective way to produce ethylene by using CO2 as the feedstock. Right now, there are large numbers of carbon-intensive companies like coal-fired and gas-fired power plants, petroleum refinery like Exxon, Shell, chemical companies like DuPont, and also metal and cement production companies. For these companies, a lot of regions in North America have started the carbon tax to restrict their carbon emission. The carbon price of $5 to $30 creates a revenue of close to 7 billion. There's no doubt that the number is going to increase as long as the carbon emission has not been solved. However, as I said, the current carbon capture way is expensive, and even in the future, the cost is still unaffordable. But imagine, what if we turn in the carbon into ethylene to make profits? Let's make a simple calculation. 1 ton of CO2 is equal to 0.3 ton of ethylene, and its price more than $1,000 per ton can definitely offset all the cost of the carbon capture. Our technology is based on a compact and efficient electrolyzer, which has been developed for 50 years. What we are going to do is just introduce CO2, water, and electricity into the reactor, and then apply our copper catalyst to produce ethylene. In fact, a lot of other products are also possible if we use other catalysts. And in the meantime, we can also generate high purity oxygen as a byproduct. That means an extra profit for this process. For our main product ethylene, the market is exploding and is going to reach close to 150 billion by 2026. It covers everywhere in our life like construction, automotive, and packaging. Based on a published economic model, if our goal is realized, for an ethylene production of 100 tons per day, we need a capital investment of 30 million, and we can make a profit of 7 million every year. The investment can be returned in less than 2 years, but I have to say, that's an ideal model. But even we discount the value by 50%, the process is still sustainable. Right now, all of our ethylene production competitors are carbon and energy intensive, like Exxon. But comparing with them, we are much greener. In the meantime, our ethylene is with equal quality and the cost is also competitive. So, we are here to propose an ethylene production process using CO2 as the feedstock. By that way, carbon-intensive companies can reduce CO2 without increasing their cost. Our reactor is compact, the process is also cost-effective, and as I said, our end product can be conveniently changed by just changing the catalyst. In the future, by developing more advanced catalysts, we can basically get everything we got from crude oil. Currently, we achieved 70% selectivity based on a 100 watt reactor. In 1 year, we're going to increase the selectivity to 90%. This step has already been resourced. In the future, we are going to achieve 90% selectivity in an upscaled reactor, and we are looking for the funding for this step now. This is our team. Now it's mainly a research team. And we are here looking for people experienced in marketing and chemical process engineering to help us further developing the process and finally commercialize it. And we also want to get a connection to the carbon-intensive company to get to know their detailed requirements and for collaboration. And also, we want to get a connection with the clean energy company to make our process to be greener. With your help, we can revolutionize CO2 for carbon-intensive companies and create a better world. Thank you. Welcome to reach out to me if you have any questions.
Hi, I'm Nicole Armstrong. In 2018, I founded Queen City Certified, the first employer certification and leadership program for gender equity in the U.S. workplace. Why? Because talent isn't limited by identities like gender, race, or sexual orientation, but opportunity often is. And visionary leaders like John shouldn't lose out on diverse and gender-balanced talent because of outdated policies and social norms that limit the potential of his employees. John is the Vice President of Human Resources. He has two goals. One, create a workplace where people not only want to work but can thrive. And two, spend his limited resources wisely. John is a people person. Relationships are at the center of his work. He knows he's doing his job well when all people can be the best versions of themselves. And while he's invested in programs to improve diversity, equity, and inclusion, past efforts have left him without a roadmap, which means his organization's leadership team and board continue to lack diversity, and women and people of color leave the organization at higher rates than other employees. John's experience isn't unique. Diversity training is an $8 billion industry, but studies show that it doesn't actually lead to an increase in diversity or sustained changes in behavior. You know what does? Creating new defaults in how things are done. So we help leaders invest in strategies that have been proven to work. We help them redesign their systems, not their people. We provide leaders like John with best practices that disrupt bias, a model for continuous improvement, and a community of peers, a community that provides them with an opportunity to learn from the experiences of others, build networks, and seek ongoing support long after our program has ended. As a third-party auditor, we celebrate and recognize employers that are walking the talk by certifying them as leaders in gender equity. Incumbent diversity and inclusion consulting firms work primarily with large employers, but 58.9 million Americans, nearly half of the U.S. labor force, work for small and mid-sized businesses. We invite organizations of all sizes and from all sectors to participate in the certification and leadership program. John was an early adopter of Queen City Certified. He used the information gained from our learning sessions, survey, and policy assessment to completely redesign his organization's benefits policies and practices. His organization was certified as a leader in gender equity in 2018. A few weeks ago, John shared with me that potential candidates often bring up certification in interviews. In fact, he's had people choose positions with his organization over other higher paid positions elsewhere because of the organization's commitment to gender equity. He's incredibly proud of what he's accomplished, and he's continuing to build a workplace that works for everyone. His organization plans on recertifying in the second half of this year. We are the first to market with this certification model. In the 2 years since our launch, we've worked with nearly 70 business leaders from both the for-profit and nonprofit sectors and certified 23 organizations as leaders in gender equity. The HR consulting market is currently $24.9 billion with an annual growth rate of 2.5%. The opportunity is there, and we want Queen City Certified to be the household name for gender equity certification in the United States. Our clients do too, especially those with offices in other parts of the country. But we need your help. Our policy assessment is completed on paper, which is time-consuming. Benchmark reports that compare an employer's results to other certified organizations are calculated and designed manually. As we grow, this approach isn't sustainable. Just like John, relationships drive our work. In fact, the majority of our clients come to us through referral. But in order to expand our impact, we must streamline our processes. By becoming tech-enabled, employers from across the country will be able to complete the policy assessment and survey online, track their progress over time, access benchmarks, and tap into a community of peers. Our team has experience in social innovation, change management, employment law, and diversity best practices. But we need a chief innovation officer who can help us secure funding and build an online platform that helps us manage client relationships while scaling up our business. Queen City Certified brings transparency and accountability to the workplace. In the short term, our program results in immediate changes that impact the lives of employees, like expanded benefits and policies. In the long term, our model helps create new cultural norms that challenge gender stereotypes, resulting in more inclusive teams and a greater representation of women and people of color in leadership. With your help, leaders like John can build equitable workplaces without wasting limited dollars on approaches that don't work. We provide employers with a competitive advantage that's good for our families, our communities, and our nation. Ready to join our movement?
Hello everyone, my name is Kyle Walsh from the UC Department of Emergency Medicine. On behalf of our group, I'm excited to present today microRNA, a novel approach to the treatment of intracerebral hemorrhage. We will begin by discussing some hypothetical patients who are based on real-life situations. Anne was at home having dinner with her family when she complained suddenly of a headache and had slurred speech, and she also could not move the left side of her face and her left arm or left leg. Joseph was outside working in the yard, and his wife realized that he had not come back into the house. When she went to look for him, she found him lying on the ground, unable to speak and unable to move his right arm and right leg. Susan was in a car accident. She said that she did not see the car turning in front of her, and when she was evaluated at the hospital, it was clear that she had lost the left half of her vision. What do all of these people have in common? They're all suffering from an intracerebral hemorrhage, or ICH. ICH occurs when there's spontaneous bleeding into the brain. It's the second most common type of stroke, with up to 67,000 cases per year in the United States alone, and many additional cases throughout the world. Up to 50% of patients with ICH will die as a result of the stroke, and of those who survive, only about a quarter will regain functional independence. What's the treatment for ICH? Currently, there is no treatment, but our group is hoping to change that. The impact of ICH is staggering, first and foremost on patients and their families and other caregivers, but also on doctors who care for these patients and have no treatment to offer, as well as the hospitals and hospital networks at which the doctors work, and finally also on overall healthcare and insurance costs. But what if there was a way to treat ICH? Our group thinks that a promising tool for this is microRNA to modulate post-ICH inflammation. MicroRNA would be a novel approach for the treatment of ICH. These microRNA are known to be important regulators of inflammation and promising novel therapeutics primarily studied in other diseases such as oncology and rheumatology, but not in acute neurological diseases. There would be potential to apply this microRNA therapeutic technology not only to ICH, but to other acute neurological conditions such as ischemic stroke and traumatic brain injury. Our group has been studying post-ICH inflammation for many years. We started by researching white blood cell counts in ICH patients. We then began utilizing RNA sequencing technology. Now, a central concept of biology is that DNA, which is the genetic information in the cells, is transcribed to RNA, which is then translated to proteins. As the name implies, RNA sequencing focuses on the RNA level, that is, the gene expression level, but without affecting the baseline genetic information in the cells. We performed a study of RNA-seq in a swine model of ICH, and we then also performed RNA-seq in ICH patients. All of the research I've mentioned thus far from our group has been published. We are now performing ongoing studies of microRNA-seq in both a swine model of ICH and in ICH patients, as we transition to looking more at microRNA specifically in this disease process. MicroRNA would be a novel approach for the treatment of ICH, with many potential benefits for patients and caregivers, for doctors and hospitals, and also for the overall healthcare system and insurance costs, considering the fact that there are very high costs associated with caring for these patients not only acutely, but also with the long-term care that many will require in the form of nursing facilities or other rehabilitation centers. As next steps, we are planning to perform larger studies of microRNA and ICH, and we're seeking collaborators and funding for that work. We're also planning to identify collaborators in the space of microRNA therapeutics, a new but rapidly growing field that has thus far been applied primarily to oncology and rheumatology. And finally, help with licensing and tech transfer considerations. With your help, we can finally reduce the mortality and disability for ICH patients with new ICH treatments derived from microRNA-seq technology. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name's Ansley Bankson. I'm a third-year industrial design student at the University of Cincinnati, studying in the College of Design, Architecture, Art, and Planning. I'm super excited to be sharing with you COMOD-PACK, a modular ice pack for facial surgery recovery. So let's get to it. Hi, my name is Ansley Bankson, and I'm going to tell you about my product, COMOD-PACK. I'd like to introduce you to Sarah. Sarah is a busy mother of 3 young children. Unfortunately, one day when she was racing off to pick her children up from school, she was in a car accident that broke her nose when she collided into the steering wheel. The accident caused Sarah to have a breathing problem along with asymmetry to her face. After living a few months with low self-esteem about how her face looked and wanting to correct her breathing problem, Sarah decided to get rhinoplasty. Sarah is like 70% of people who get in a car accident. They sustain some kind of facial injury, and she is like 10 million people each year who choose to get a cosmetic surgery, which has been known to raise self-esteem. After her surgery, she is told to expect to experience bruising and swelling for the first 2 weeks of recovery. She is told to ice her nose on and off for 20-minute time sessions. Sarah is given a bag of ice that she has to constantly refreeze, drips water everywhere, and she has to hold it up to her nose. This immobilizes her, making it extremely difficult to take care of her children. She often chooses to skip icing sessions so she can address her children's needs, which slows down her recovery time and causes more bruising for a longer time. As someone who has been through a similar recovery process when I had maxillofacial surgery to my upper jaw, I have been fueled with a personal passion to found this business. As well as being an industrial design student here at UC, I feel like it's my duty to create COMOD-PACK to give people like Sarah the recovery experience I wish I could have had. That's why I want to introduce COMOD-PACK, a modular ice pack for facial healing. It is a 7-piece set including 3 natural clay ice packs that rest inside 3 latex-free fleece sleeves and are strapped together with an elastic band of Velcro. What if Sarah could have looked like this during her recovery instead? Icing the face is hard. There are so many small spaces divided up by bumps and holes. Fortunately, that is what COMOD-PACK is for. It can work for upper jaw surgery, rhinoplasty, and wisdom teeth extraction. It is made to ice the face. Each year, over 200,000 maxillofacial surgeries are performed. 220,000 rhinoplasties are performed, and 5 million people have their wisdom teeth removed. Currently, my target market is on plastic surgery offices, which plastic surgeons have informed me can sell for $25, which I will tell you more about later. Currently, the market has tried to focus on an ice pack for wisdom teeth and the outside of the face, but there are no truly well-designed ice packs for your whole face, including the center part that can achieve comfort and increased mobility for all facial healing. This was surprising to me, and that's why my COMOD-PACK is patent pending. People like Sarah often have to choose between sitting and being quiet to ice their face, or they choose to not ice their face. The benefit of COMOD-PACK is the modularity and hands-free experience. Because of this, a plastic surgeon told me that COMOD-PACK would be great because you could immediately apply ice after surgery, which could lead to decreased bruising and healing time. The market opportunity is large. There are oral surgeries in which millions of people get their wisdom teeth out, maxillofacial surgery, dermatology for people with eczema, and any surgery requiring localized cooling to control swelling. However, from this process, I have made some connections with plastic surgeons. They have told me about their patients who are just like Sarah, people who choose primarily elective procedures and just want to get back to their normal life as quickly as possible. To launch, we are focused on the 666,000 facial cosmetic surgical procedures performed yearly. We've assumed 10% market penetration, which equates to 1.6 million annual revenue. Currently, I have completed the paperwork for patent protection, and this is now patent pending. I have completed preliminary market research and fabricated rough prototypes. Next, we need to finalize a working prototype, create our bill of materials, and develop accurate manufacturing costs. Then we will create the MVP prototype and perform market tests with plastic surgeons. We expect in Q1 to review market feedback and assess commercialization strategies. My ask is for an EIR who can help me through this process. Thank you for your time. If you are interested in working with me on CoModPack to help people like Sarah, please contact me at my email or phone number listed below. Thanks again.
Hi, my name is Peter Winter. I just finished my 4th year in the College of Business. I've been an athlete my whole life, and this is my natural solution to pre-workouts.
More and more Americans are working out and engaging in different physical activities every year, but how exactly do people know that they're making the most of their workouts and performing at their best? Supplements and nutrition are crucial to performance in a sport or competition, and as well as being vital to making the most of your workouts. They can be the reason you won a race, finished a game strong, ran an extra mile, or got an extra set in a workout. Everyone would like to increase their blood flow to their muscles and their energy levels, but not everyone is willing to take the current pre-workout supplements in the market. This stigma comes from the fact that these products come with a lot of weird and negative side effects that users are familiar with, like jitters, nausea, irritated stomach, tingly prickly feelings, headaches, and dehydration. The effects are also pretty short-lived and they're followed by crashes. These products are all made of synthetic compounds with little testing done on them and little information about them. In fact, 23,000 Americans go to the hospital every year due to dietary supplements, and these products incite the most fear. Many supplements also have stimulants in them that are proven to be addictive, and supplements do not have to be approved by the FDA. Studies even show that people buy the most expensive pre-workout supplements and fear that cheaper ones are dangerous despite them having the same stuff in it. My solution to this in the product I've created is using beets and cordyceps as a base while adding some natural performance boosting amino acids, caffeine, and a natural sweetening system to make it taste good. Beetroot increases nitric oxide in the body, which dilates your blood vessels and increases blood flow to your muscles, while cordyceps increases ATP in your endurance, improves the way that muscles use oxygen, and reduces fatigue, while the amino acids have similar effects, and there's no side effects to any of these. As you can see, people are adapting the practice of taking a supplement before a workout like people have adapted the practice of drinking coffee when they wake up. A quote from IBIS World on the sports nutrition industry says that this segment has been plagued by the highest level of product recalls, adulteration scandals, and warning letters issued by the FDA. Accordingly, this segment has faced an increasingly high-level regulatory and public scrutiny during the past decade. If you see here, the protein and amino acid section, which is sports nutrition and pre-workouts, is estimated to at least double within the next 5 years. And the highest market share companies have only been around for about a decade, which shows that this whole industry sector is only in the beginning. It's the wild west of the pre-workout industry. Now is the perfect time for the market to adopt a natural and trustworthy brand. Some of the benefits of this product include increased performance, higher ATP levels, increased blood flow, lower blood pressure, reduced fatigue, stimulates muscle growth, and reduced muscle soreness, although there are many other functional as well as health benefits from this product. The market range is extremely broad and can be used by anyone with any experience, any age, athletes, runners, bodybuilders, and then maybe even some unexpected markets such as surgical recovery and physical therapy patients. These two rows are the synthetic and often cheaply made pre-workouts that many people avoid, but they currently dominate the market. They're also all extremely similar to each other in terms of ingredients and the people who use them. Some of them even claim to be natural in side effect and crash-free, but are almost entirely the same as the other products. They often have very little information about what exactly are in them and what they do. And then the natural and organic supplements are very scarce, and many of them are just ineffective and made up of spinach or kale. Some of them, like True Wild in the upper right hand corner, have the right idea and actually have similar ingredients to what I have, but they do not have an effective amount of dosages of any of them, and they have like 30 ingredients in total. They're also super niche and they focus on hikers and all-day fuel. They also have a lot of ingredients that are fillers and can even hinder their performance, such as antioxidants. Then there's beets and cordyceps, which are not usually marketed nor used as a pre-workout supplement. So after a lot of research, I have found a manufacturing lab to create this, and I have 2 phases of prototypes developed. The first one I gave out to a bunch of athletes, bodybuilders, and other people who I thought might be interested. And the overwhelming response was that it was very effective and clean and there was no side effects, but the taste wasn't great. So in the second phase, I added citric acid and monk fruit, and the response on that is that it's way better and it tastes good. The next iteration will probably be within a month, and it's going to be using less caffeine, and we're going to test that. So the next steps and what we need to make this business come into fruition is a solidified business plan, any help with marketing, retail connections, and any way that we can take this product and enter the market with it. With your help, a better, healthier pre-workout boost can now be available naturally. Thank you all so much for listening and giving me this opportunity to present. Here's my contact information, and we'll go to questions now.
Hey guys, my name is Mike Hines. And I'm Matt Stanley.
We are co-founders of WHITEBOX. I'm a new construction advisor here in Cincinnati.
And I'm a custom home builder here in Cincinnati.
Appreciate you taking a few minutes just to listen to WHITEBOX and hear what it's all about.
Building a home is complicated. Have you ever heard someone say, "I just built a home and it was the greatest experience and process that I've ever been through"? Probably not. Meet Kevin and Robin Jones. They currently live in a 900 square foot, 2-bedroom, 1-bath home in Oakley that was perfect for them when they first got married. But now with 2 kids and bunk beds, they're bursting at the seams. For the past year, they've been talking about getting more space, and 2 months ago they started going out with their real estate agent, Julie, to find homes. But in the current market, inventory is tight and they are starting to get discouraged. Then the light bulb goes off in Robin's head. Why don't we just build? Kevin's intrigued, and Robin immediately starts to Pinterest board and tags 1,000 photos of white farmhouses with black windows. Kevin gets nervous as the dollar signs start to pile up in his head. Kevin and Robin aren't alone. 64% of all home buyers consider new construction at some point during the home search, but only 9% actually purchase a new construction home. In Cincinnati, that 9% currently makes up for 4,827 new construction homes in 2019 alone. When a home is built, home buyers are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on materials, vendors, and subcontractors. Total spend on new construction last year was $89.4 billion. Let's follow the path of Kevin and Robin to see why only 9% of home buyers actually purchase new construction. Like most buyers, Kevin and Robin first talk to their real estate agent, Julie, and ask about new construction. Julie is a bit worried because she also has limited knowledge on the process, but nonetheless, she says she will do some research and get back to them. While Julie is pulling information for Kevin and Robin, they start to Google information on home building, home builders, and the process. They come up empty-handed, so they start to drive around the areas that they like, scouting out builders. The kids in the back seat, they start crying, so then they decide to go home defeated. By that time, Julie has a limited amount of information for them, and their minds start to run wild. Robin says, "This is even more complicated than planning our wedding." Kevin winces. At first, home building sounded awesome, but reality starts to set in, and it all seems like a wild jungle they don't want to tame. In their minds race the thought of pricing, finding a lot, finding a builder. Do I need an architect? How do we finance this? And how are we going to do this with 2 kids and both working full time? The Joneses are ready to give up when they stumble upon WHITEBOX. WHITEBOX is a free website for the home buyers to use that bridges the gap between them and their new home by curating their wish list, answering questions, and showing them just who they need to talk to and when. We believe by marketing WHITEBOX to potential new home buyers through their agents, builders, and current search options like Google and social media, WHITEBOX can outline the path to their new home. This gives Kevin and Robin the confidence and the direction they need to move forward. So Mike, tell us how it works.
Well, Matt, similar to The Knot, a wedding planning website that assists brides and grooms, we walk buyers through a series of qualifying questions to determine exactly what they're looking for in a new home. Let's take Kevin and Robin. We match their wish list to their budget through a quiz that asks their ideal size of home, type of home, and features, all in a gamified and fun manner. Then the user is placed into their dashboard. They can go on to the fun stuff, selections, all meant to profile the home they envision. They then go into their checklist to make sure the path is outlined. Within their dashboard, they can find information on builders, lenders, lots, new construction listings, pricing, you name it. As we build out, we add more. As of today, we have built an unlaunched consumer-facing MVP that we need the funds to continue development and create white-labeled plugins for agents and builders' websites. We are looking for a strategic partner, which could be a CEO for implementation of the tech, strategy, and the eventual launch. This would include, but not limited to, development of the UX and UI, SEO strategy, content aggregator, and widespread launch. Help us help the 9% of people that buy new construction. At the same time, help us help Kevin and Robin by removing the negative connotation associated with building a new construction home and make the path easier. Their beautiful home is closer than they think. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Scott Boots. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, and I'm a retired restaurateur. I'm here today because I got mad. At the local elementary school that I volunteer, they were placed in an hour-long lockdown with no information and a lot of frustration. However, my frustrations were just the tip of the iceberg. There are just too many gaps and complete failures in the 911 system and emergency responding. But don't take my word for it.
Where are you? What lane? Fairway off of Batesville. 30188. Man, I'm losing the air very quickly. Give me the address one more time. It's not working. Ma'am, I lost her.
Hello, this is 911. What is wrong with the baby?
The mother is crying to my dear neighbor. And you lamb, please.
What happened? Where is the baby?
The baby is 1355 in the car, the street.
It's asleep?
No, the baby is dying or not. I don't know the baby.
Neither of the victims on those calls survived, but the system was originally designed in 1970 for landlines, and now 90% of the contacts are from cell phones, which add location and connection barriers. Since they are the only contact for victims, 911 dispatchers must also diagnose which contacts are important, and tragically, sometimes they miss. Many of the failures were exposed by the incident with Cincinnati Seven Hills High School student Kyle Plush. Kyle was trapped inside a minivan, but he was still able to voice call 911 twice. Unfortunately, that still didn't save his life. But why only contact 911 during a life-threatening crisis? What might happen if when you contacted 911, the same notification went to your family, your closest friends, people in close proximity, and what if the administrators of a property itself were notified too? Administrators could send life-saving instructions to only persons on that property. We call that a micro-Amber Alert ability. A solution to emergency reporting is needed now, one that gives a user's exact location, overcomes every communicational barrier, notifies 911, your family, your friends, alerts anyone near a life-threatening event, works in less than 10 seconds, and then, after a crisis, begins providing a portal for instructions. One app that works everywhere for everyone. So how does I11 work? Launching the app allows a user to select one of 5 life-threatening event icons. Next, an adjustable pinpoint verifies a user's exact location with corresponding address and the GPS coordinates to within 3 feet. The user then selects icons to best describe their emergency details. Each event has its own submenu of icons. A formatted text message is instantly sent to 911, ICE contacts, proximity users, and business accounts. This specifically structured information allows 911 dispatchers to quickly deploy help and even handle multiple contacts. It all takes less than 10 seconds. Our product is a $24 billion segment in just the US market. That number does not include advertising revenue or 911 system costs. The initial target market is impaired users and small businesses. Both of these groups must have tools for crisis reactions, and that is 96 million potential customers in just the US alone. We have structured I11 for rapid expansion with AWS, GitHub, YouTube, and GoDaddy products. We are already on Apple and Google Play app stores. Our base version will be free, but users pay 99 cents annually to add more than just one ICE contact. Our micro-Amber Alert accounts start at $500. We've come a long way on a shoestring budget, but there's more to do. This is not Candy Crush where a glitch is just annoying. This app must work perfectly every time for every user. So what caused that lockdown at my school to start this journey? It was a bomb threat to the entire school district by a sophomore who was scared to take his algebra test.
The revolutionary concept that my team proposes is a simple idea, yet provides a solution to a vast array of problems. Our design is an endotracheal tube with customized length that allows a surgeon or anesthesiologist the ability to adapt to any patient's unique physiological barriers in real time. Intubation has always been a critical need for patients undergoing surgery requiring anesthesia. Currently, with the COVID-19 pandemic, the use of ventilators has heightened the demand for intubation procedures. The short supply of ventilators has caused a resurgence in manufacturing respiratory devices, so it would be expected that advancements are following this resurgence, and our team's design aligns with this movement. Let me introduce Natalie's experience as a real-world example. Natalie is undergoing oral surgery and will require anesthesia. During intubation, the anesthesiologist encounters an unforeseen issue. The endotracheal tube used cannot reach past Natalie's vocal cords. The anesthesiologist must remove the tube and an incision must be made to reach the vocal cords. This delays the surgery, increases the chance of complications, and prolongs recovery time. Not only does this impact Natalie's quality of life, but increases the cost to both the patient and hospital. According to Dr. Deepak Krishnan, oral surgeon at UC Health, this happens once a week in his specific practice alone. As discussed earlier, the main problem lies in the craniofacial abnormalities and variances within each unique patient. These abnormalities can result in elongated nasal pathways not suitable for standard endotracheal tubes found in the market. Often, these conditions are invisible until intubation. When the endotracheal tube cannot reach past the vocal cords, the cuff on the distal end cannot be inflated. No inflation means no intubation. Let's take a step back to rewrite Natalie's experience, this time using the endotracheal tube with customized length. Now, when encountered with the unforeseen condition, the anesthesiologist can easily extend the device to the desired length by pulling the proximal end outward, thereby allowing the tube to pass further into the trachea and past the vocal cords. With the distal end in place, the cuff can inflate and ventilation can begin. The surgery began on time, the chance of complications were reduced, and the patient's recovery time was shortened, therefore reducing costs all around. There are several key manufacturers in the endotracheal tube market. Among them include well-known names like Kimberly-Clark and Medtronic. No matter which competitor you analyze, each manufacturer's design is nearly universal. This applies to many of the products in the respiratory device market, such as basic endotracheal tubes, RAE endotracheal tubes, laser tubes, and so on. However, the size of each product is static. There are no current customizable endotracheal tubes on the market, and my team wants to fill this void. Our team's unique design is highly adaptable to any of the existing products found in the market. Our plan of action would be to partner with one or more of these top manufacturers to deliver this highly desired and much needed measure. Our intention is to set an industry standard that would minimize intubation costs and maximize patients' quality of life. With a current global market value of $1.8 billion and further anticipated market growth to $2.2 billion, the anesthesia and respiratory device market is rapidly growing. This is true not just for the North American market, but globally as well. The major reasons for this growth are the increasing prevalence of respiratory disorders, increasing number of approved products, and the current pandemic conditions due to COVID-19. This shows that our design is a promising opportunity in a growing market. Our team members are Dr. Deepak Krishnan, William Klunk, Alexander Kuhn, Dr. Peter Campbell, and Douglas Wilkins. The prospects for a new innovation in the respiratory field are wide open, a new frontier. Having developed the project up to this stage, there still is important work to be done, mainly testing and refinement of the design. Time, along with resources, will allow us the opportunity to partner with a manufacturer, thereby delivering a substantial return on investment. I invite your participation and trust in our idea to bring this concept to life. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Well, there it was, right? A different way to do it, but still the same type of content, the same good teams. All of our teams have now moved on beyond graduation. They are out seeking EIRs, developing their technology, trying to build momentum around their idea. I just want to say thank you again for tuning in today and staying all the way to the end to help our teams try to do something more than what they could do just by themselves. Again, thank you very much. I hope you stay safe and healthy, and more than anything, I hope we all get to see each other soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.